Well, good morning. Try that again. Good morning. All right, that's a little better. Well, this is a great day. This is the 10th annual Executive Business Symposium put on by Creighton College of Business students, now Creighton Hyder College of Business students. This has morphed itself from being a fairly small event to being the largest student-run event, organized event in the country. And so on behalf of the students and faculty, I want to give ourselves a great hand on what we've accomplished in 10 years. And we continue to carry this on to grow it, to make it larger, and to have a greater impact on our students and the community. We're very pleased about the recent announcement about naming the College of Business after the Hyder family, Mary and Charlie Hyder. We couldn't have better people to name our college after and to carry on the tradition of high-quality education here at Creighton University. So it's my pleasure this morning to kick things off and to introduce our first speaker, Mr. Nick Ghoussaini. Mr. Ghoussaini is a senior operating partner for Triton, which is a private equity firm in Europe. He's currently chairman of the board of a German company, Stabilis. He's on the board of a Spanish company and a Swedish company, and because my Spanish and Swedish is not very good, I won't even attempt to pronounce those. Was the chairman of the board of Dematic and successfully ran that business until it sold successfully in December of 2012. Prior to being part of Triton, he has over 30 years of experience in the automotive industry. He's been president and CEO of a number of different companies, a supply company in Germany, along with the premier car division for the Lear Corporation in Germany. He has extensive experience internationally in Europe, in Latin America, and North America, as well as Asia, and has a number of key relationships, especially in the high-level areas of the automotive industry. He holds a bachelor's and a master's degree in chemistry from Creighton University and a master's degree in chemical engineering from another Jesuit school, the University of Detroit in Michigan. So without further ado, and I would add, additionally, he's really a genuinely nice guy. Really have enjoyed interacting with him, Mr. Nick Ghoussaini.
Good morning. It really is good to be back at Creighton. I have not been back in any official capacity or a visiting serious capacity since I graduated in '76, but my wife is from Omaha, and when I come back for Christmas, occasionally I come stroll through the campus to see how things are changing. Creighton has a special place in my heart. If I think about my 22, 23 years of education, grade school through higher education, it's the place, it's my school. It's the place that stands out. If I'm talking about a college experience, it is Creighton. And my family knows that, my friends know that. And when I speak about this institution, I speak about it with strong emotion and a passion because I love this school. I'm grateful to participate in this event today. It came about through discussions with several people from this fine institution, and I would like to thank them, Father Lennon, Robert Skridlak, who's here today, Dean Hendrickson, who I met and had lunch with, to try to decide what our topic for today should be, Jeremy Fisher, who made the final decision to bring me about. So you will judge him good or bad after I finish today. Nermina and the rest of the team, her team that worked on the organization. I'm really honored to be speaking here today. So what did we look at for alternatives for a topic today? One topic was leadership in corporate environment. How do we, what's the difference between a leader and a manager? What are the traits, characteristics, competencies of a leader versus a manager? There's a lot written on that. And I'm not the professor type, and I didn't go to business schools. I had some training in that area. So I'm not very verbose there, but I took one saying that managers lead their people to a conference room, and leaders lead their people to battle. They are followed by their people. And I will not get any more into that topic, but it's a very important issue that faces corporations today, and I know the students of the school here are looking strongly at understanding this topic. Another topic was value creation in public companies, in private companies, and under private equity ownership. There are differences here. I worked most of my career in large public companies. I'll mention them in a minute. And I worked as a CEO. My last full-time position was a private family-owned German company. I was CEO for 9 years, and then the past 6 years with private equity. And there are value creation in the language of business. We call them levers. That could be through growth, could be through cost-cutting, could be through repositioning companies from certain business environments to other, and so on. And it's also a very important topic, but we decided not to take that full time. Corporate governance, the role of the board. That's to try to bring over my experience in private equity in roles on the boards, either as chairman or as a board member. And how do we interact with the management? And how do we fulfill who's behind us, the investor, what the investor is looking for, and the management that has to deal with delivering, and yet the goals are set up front. A company that's bought is planned to be sold, and there are clear and precise targets. And so what is the governance? How do we play as a board without interfering with the management, but with giving the investor the results that he or she expects? We decided instead to try to take a personal view, my own upbringing and career and my own learning, and really relate to these three topics as I go talk about the leadership, value creation, and corporate governance. So I stand in front of you today trying to do that. It's difficult to talk about personal experience and don't end up bragging or saying this is how it's done, please do the same. That's not the intention. The intention is to give you an honest reflection on a career and learning. It's not meant at all to say if you do these things or if you do what I did or what somebody did, that's the key. That's not the intention. It's one life, it's one journey, and a set of learnings that I will share with you today. That's how we will. About my upbringing, I was born and raised in Lebanon in a modest family. I was number 7 of 9 children. After high school, I was probably really ADD, but where I grew up, we didn't have these fancy terms, and we didn't go to psychologists to evaluate us and give us medicine. That's not how I grew up. So I was anxious to get out to the world. At age 19, I moved to West Africa as I finished high school, and I worked for my sister and her husband. And after that, I moved to Panama, and I worked in Panama for my uncle and cousins who went to Creighton before me. And then at age 22, a very late bloomer, I became a freshman at Creighton. I landed here in Omaha in August 1972. That was a great day for me. It's like I have arrived. I remember the events. I remember the song that they turned on the plane when it touched down in Omaha and was taxiing to the gate. I have a very vivid and clear memory of my first days at Creighton. That's how this life here left such a strong impression and etching on my heart and in my head. I selected Creighton because a cousin went here before me in the 50s, and it was all boys, Catholic education, and the family thought that's what I need to get straightened out. So but by the time I get here, it wasn't all boys anymore. I think it changed in the period. I started to study chemistry because the family sent me to become a doctor. That did not work out. I was not the top of my class. I was a very good student, but not good enough. My advisor in the medical school here asked me, if you would like to be in the medical science, try to become a nurse. If you really are serious about it and you want to do it. If you just want to be a doctor, you do not qualify. So that was really a good advice. So I moved to University of Detroit, and I finished a degree in chemical engineering. I got my first job in 1979 through a friend at a company called DACO, public company. It's in the automotive space. I moved from that to General Motors. I was recruited by General Motors. I was doing work for them. A supplier of chemicals to General Motors, ICI, one of the top 5 chemical companies in the world, doesn't exist anymore today, recruited me to start their automotive chemical business. I started in Pennsylvania and moved back to Detroit to establish a business unit. One of my customers, Lear Corporation, recruited me to work for them as president of Lear in Europe, and that's the move I made to Europe in '95. And I was recruited by the German company Benteler, a family-owned company, 125 years old, with about $7 billion in sales annually, recruited me to run their business. So I really tried as fast as I can to go through the career part. And now we come to the core of what is it I wanted to talk about, is there was a time where I started to think either when companies put me on their high potential list, or when I started to see that my career is moving forward, I started to, why me? What happened here? Started to reflect, either through training or through management programs that I went to, through financial training, because I'm in business, but I'm not trained in business. Started to reflect on that. And some of the key things that stick in my mind is I never applied for a job. That's kind of, I thought, was unique. I never wrote a resume, never prepared one, never got fired from a job, and I never looked for a job. I was always asked by some company, some person, as I met them and worked with them, to join the company. I thought that's a unique thing. Maybe it has happened many times that I'm not familiar with, but in my mind, I thought, that's a point that I need to think about. Why did it happen this way? Another thing is, I'm truly, honestly, I'm not a career person. I have a son who's 31 years old. He is a career person. He has goals. He has a timetable. He knows exactly what he should be doing at this age and at that age. I didn't have any of this. I just wanted a job. That's kind of, and I had this anxiety to always move forward and perform, do a good job, or whatever it was, the driver. I did not compete with other people for jobs. I just competed with myself. If I did not get the next promotion, I reflected on myself. Why yes or no? What happened here? And then at one time with these, and I started to get either appraised by outside sources or by what we call 360 appraisals in companies that have very good human resources development processes. You go through a 360 appraisal, which means you're appraised by your people, by the people from your side, colleagues, and from people from above. It's either the board, it depends on the position. And then you start to read what you think about yourself and what others think about you. And so with all of this, if I want to put it not in the professional technical words of an appraiser that does this for a living, in my own words, what is it I thought that helped me progress? It comes on top of my list is entrepreneurialship. Loving to get into transactions, into deals, into identifying win-win situation. It's entrepreneurship. To get into business and succeed. It's this love of winning and being happy with it, happy with the job, happy with the performance, not in a cutthroat type way, finding solutions that are win-win, that are gratifying. I always had, as I reflect, a sense of urgency, and the flip side to that is impatience. Could be a pain in the neck, in other words, but there's always an engine driving to go. It's a sense of urgency. I saw it in myself, and I really demanded it of the people that worked around me, sometimes to a fault. I still hate to stand in lines anywhere. It's simply, the positive way to say it is a sense of urgency to get things done. The negative way is really simply impatience. It's two sides of the same coin. Focus on the core. As I sit in business meetings or reviews, or we're doing a strategy evaluation, whatever, is to cut through all the fluff and try as fast as we can to go to the core of the issue and reach a decision. Don't get involved in the wrappings that go around the topics. I found that as an important point. Salesmanship, to try to be convincing, to have a good a process and logic and style to work with people, where they are customers, whether they are the board, if I was a CEO working for a set of owners, work with suppliers, or with the own organization, to bring people over to the point of view in a reasonable, acceptable, and motivating manner. I will go to the professional terms of how people describe these types of things. I always had in my mind, as I set goals, not that I could care less, I care about comparative studies or analyses versus the market about performance. the market profitability should be between X and Y levels. That's all fine, but that's not how I measured myself or the people that worked with me. I tried to always say, I only measure versus the potential. If the potential of the company is to produce 20%, whatever EBITDA or EBIT or whatever the number is, why should we accept 10 or 11 or 12? So we need to strive all the time to see if we can come to our potential. And so it became key to define in an intelligent, logical, reasonable fashion what is the goal. And this is the potential, and work towards the potential. And I've had people get so angry with me as they were performing outstanding results that were not, that market-wise, fantastic, but if we could sit together and show that there is a lot more potential that we are not achieving, I've used that as a method all the time. Sometimes really to a fault, where the drive is very hard all the time, there is no break, there is no equilibrium, you never stand on both feet. It's always going forward. Trust-based relationships, where people, if they call you, they know you pick up the phone, you will return their call, you will do what you said you are going to do, no politics, no manipulation, teamwork, respect for others, and a lot of humility. So it's a whole, when you start feeling you can call on people when you need, and they come to help, and if they call you, you're doing the same thing. It's really, I call it trust-based interaction with other people. Clarity and standards. By clarity, I mean everyone in an organization needs to know exactly what their job is, what their role is. And on standards is what is expected of the people in their positions. If we don't have these two items, there are many, many aspects one can look at to look at the style and the culture of a company. But if we are missing, in my experience, the clarity or the standards, which is the expectation, what is it we're trying to do, we lose the motivation inside the company. The word alignment, that we are all pulling in the same direction, it has to come only if everyone on the team knows what is their job, who do they report to, and what's expected, what's the desired outcome that we are looking for. I give many examples here. I give examples in the old days when the phrase, you circle the wagon, that's a term that when the migration from the east to the west coast and people encounter difficulties as we're going on wagons, they circled the wagons to defend the center. If anyone in the circle misses their position, the whole, the center falls. So everyone needed to know what's the position, what's expected of them. Another example I've always used are the Blue Angels, I think. They are the flyers of the United States Navy. You can be a fantastic pilot as an individual contributor. One can do a lot. But as part of a team, it's a different skill to fly wing to wing with your colleague. It's not anymore about flying your plane. It's flying your plane and looking for the person that you're flying wing to wing with. And if anyone makes an error, the whole organization falls. It truly is. Out of personal failures and successes, I tell you, that's how it works. So to come back and tie it in full circle, it's the clarity of purpose, clarity, who is doing what we're doing, and everyone delivering to for the team. So I felt, as I reflect and I looked at my appraisals, and to be honest, I brought the last appraisal that I had with me from 2005, and I had to read it over and see, what did the people think? What did they say? I mentioned a lot of good things. There are a lot of bad things here that I'm not going to tell you. And if you ask me, I will plead the Fifth Amendment. I'm not going to tell you but there were some of those too. But so these are the good things that I, in my own reflections and using my own words, not technical terms, these were the things that I could think of. But there is really a side factor that is there is no denying, and that is luck. I can challenge anyone, no matter who they are, that if you really talk to and dig deep enough, you find out that at some point we were by accident, through some randomness, at the right place at the right time. The one example that I want to mention, and there are hundreds, the one example that I would like to mention from my own career is that when I graduated, I was doing my comprehensive exams for my master's degree at Creighton, and I was accepted for a doctorate in chemistry at Georgetown University. It was almost August, heading out. I was engaged to my wife then, and wanted to go settle in at Georgetown and come back and plan our wedding. And Dr. Snip, who was the chairman of the department at the time, came to me and said, I was a teaching assistant. He said, I have the dean of the engineering school from University of Detroit, and he is here to interview students for a doctorate program. I said, but Dr. Snip, I'm already accepted, and I'm almost on my way. I had enough gas in my car to get to Washington. That's the honest truth. That's about it. And I want to get in, find me a side job so I can, because Georgetown will not offer me a fellowship until I had spent one semester at the university. He said, you have nothing to lose, just meet with them. So I met with the dean of the school, and they offered me free education, full room and board so I can eat and have a place to sleep. And in 1976, they gave me stipend of $750 a month. That's almost like a bribe. In today's money, that's maybe $3,000. So I was convinced very fast. And so what is the luck factor in this? And I only use one example about forks in the road, where if you went with the right foot, your life went in one direction, and if you started on the other foot, it would have been a totally different life. Had I gone to Georgetown and I got a doctorate in chemistry, I cannot predict. Definitely I can predict that I wouldn't have been here today. My life, my children, my career would have been a totally different direction. There are many instances that I think back and reflect and say there was a lot of luck here. There are many people that are qualified, more qualified, that could do what I'm doing and could do it a lot better. They were not in the right place at the right time, maybe. Or others that maybe are not qualified. And we see some of those people that really do not create value, destroy value, and they get places. So I'm a strong believer that there is this luck, fate type that in my case, that was on my side in this equation. So partly there was hard work and there was a lot of training and good education, and to be honest, and to keep things in check, so we don't think we're so good, we are so invincible that's dangerous, is recognize with some humility that the influence of others on us and that fate was on our side, and be thankful for that. So if I wanted to, I took these items that I'm talking about, and in the company Bentley, where I was CEO, when I left the company, I think I had, in my view, and in the view of the family that sent a letter to the customers and suppliers and employees announcing that I'm leaving the company, there were two legacies. One, I grew the company organically from 1.6 billion euro to 4.8 billion euro in 9 years in organic growth, and we were the fastest growing company in Europe for companies over 3 billion euro per year in sales. Growth was one. And the other item that the owners of the company highlighted as a legacy is the human resources development process that I created inside the company to recognize, search, seek, recognize talent at the lowest level in the company and move people from the professional level as engineers or salesmen or accountant or whatever the case may be to the management level, and that a talent, large talent pool. And the second group, which the executive, to find them, train them, because these are the people that are going to run the company. Very fast, I'm going to go through what we called a competency model that measured performance. 4 items. Performance under that. And you don't have to take notes. I can leave my email with someone. If anyone is interested, through some mechanism, Nermina could take care of that for us. I will send you the model, and I have it with me here, actually. Under performance, results orientation, to really know what is it we want to do, what is the desired outcome. Because we really don't care much about what one does. We care a lot about what person achieves. We want to achieve. We put in the desired outcome, and then we strive to go for it. Determination. I'm still under performance. Determination, not to give up, to have a sense of optimism that I can do it. And these things are quantifiable and measured. I can, if I go to the model that's on the table, on determination, we can say there are 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 levels. And how do I say what level are you on, or me, on the scale? And it has to be measured with actions, not with words, not with attitudes. What are the examples that you can list that show that this gentleman or this lady are really determined, they do not give up? Self-confidence. It comes with this optimism, the can-do attitude. Jack Welch, in his book, I think it's called From the Guts, I don't remember, he said, of all of the things that of the competencies or skills or attributes of a great leader, he thought self-confidence to him was the most important thing he looked for. Under the competencies of change, flexibility, that we listen to others. You know, we are willing to adapt to whether it's to market, whether it's to what other people say, rather than think the buck stops here, we know everything. And that's a common CEO disease, that we really, people start to think they are invincible, they are better than other people. Change management. Yeah, I mean, there is one quote here on change. It's the one in the lower left corner. Cause change and lead, accept change and survive, resist change and die. It's an important competency in people, that people can lead change or can adapt to change. On the interaction skills, impact and influence, I mentioned in my own layman's terms, to be convincing, to have the right arguments, the right preparation, the right materials, to go to the board and say, I need $200 million to invest, and the best presentation I can make is when I finish. They don't ask questions, they say yes. So there are that's a very good, tight argument. Lawyers in the crowd will tell you that. The argument has to be tight, clear, concise, precise, and you get yes when you're finished. Interpersonal understanding between colleagues, intercultural adaptability, if you want to work overseas, if you want to lead international companies, relationship management, to stay in touch with people. Occasionally, doesn't all have to be business. When you're in town, take them to dinner. And under leadership, directiveness. Directiveness at the extreme is rudeness. You know, could be too tough. We are people of all different upbringing and sensitivities, but directiveness is important. Too much of it, again, it gets to be threatening to the colleagues. Team leadership and developing others. So I have taken some of the things that I reflected upon, and I've had a lot of help from professional companies to come and do a competency model inside our own company that's built not only on myself, on other people inside the company. We call them points of light, good performance, that were liked by their people, that were natural leaders. They were followed by people and became leaders. They were not appointed leaders. We appoint managers, they become leaders. So that competency model was put together by the Hay Corporation and was used. So one thing was that we achieved growth. The other thing we achieved is we set up the machine to continue to achieve. So there are other competencies. These were the core 12 items. Analytical skills, strategic skills, integrity. You will be surprised. We could look and define what do we mean when we say integrity. So we're all talking about the same thing, because this is a value, and we are different people with different backgrounds from different countries and have different values. So inside the company, we had to agree, what is it we mean when we say integrity? Humility and humanity, that we don't walk on water, we make mistakes, and communicate with people at some time and on a human level. I one time sent an email to a person that worked for me. His father passed, and I sent him a one-paragraph sympathy note by email. He was shocked that I have so much humanity. He saw only the one side. We drive, and reminded me, and later it came in what he wrote up in my 360 appraisal, that it's good to show some humanity sometime, that it's not walk. We would love to know you as a person. So that is, so how did I take these things as I stopped working full-time as a CEO and move into private equity? I see I have about 10 minutes more. I think Dean Hendrickson took some of my minutes, so I will grab a few back. Okay. So I take this competency model. It's hard to believe. I keep it in my briefcase. It has been in my briefcase. I engulfed it in plastic so it doesn't deteriorate, and I keep it with me all the time. So how did I take this and start to apply it in my career in private equity? These are 4 companies that are in our portfolio, and I'm not going to name them. I'm going to talk about the one on the top left quarter. And as you can, I was chairman of the board of this company, and we sold it in December last year. We bought it from a conglomerate, and it was losing $100 million per year on $800 million in sales. And in a period of 6 years, we changed the company to, in the full 2012, made $85 million in EBIT, and we sold the company. We took it over for free from a conglomerate, and we called these Orphans. And as we find companies to buy, we look for ignored companies in big corporations. So how did we do that? So how do we do something like, we sold the company for 800 million euro. We bought it for 13 million. Our equity was 13 million. It's the transaction cost. That's what we paid for the diligence. Legal due diligence, commercial, financial, and environmental. Okay, so how, to do something like this and take credit for it, one needs to go, and that could have been a topic to talk about here. We mentioned that a little bit. One should be able to stand before you and say, this was the strategy, this was the business plan and the milestones, and these were the 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 value levers that we pulled to deliver these results. Otherwise, it's the market went up, sales went down. And by the way, we had the same sales when we sold the company in 2012. It was improvement in the company. So how do we take these principles and put them into, in my role today, as it really is like the owner, because the owners are the investors, and as a person in the fund, my role in the board is the owner, that we do the right thing for the investors. So we set, and I want to mention a little bit about this slide. This is the psychology of the markets. I really love this slide. If you start from left to right, optimism, excitement as the market is moving up, to thrill, euphoria, 2007 in the markets here, real euphoria. Money is available. You want to buy a house? We will sell you a house. You want to buy a car? I remember Mitsubishi, the CEO of Mitsubishi was a good I had a good working relationship with him. He lost his job in 2005 or 6. They had to write off $2 billion US on bad car loans. They were selling cars. So the euphoria of the market. By the way, we bought the company that I mentioned we sold, I think in the thrill area, that we bought the company in 2006. Yeah, we reached the top of the cycle in Europe 2008. Here we started to fall in this country in 2007. Then the down cycle. By the way, we sold the company, if you go far to the right, back in the hope that's we sold it in 2012, we're starting to come out in Europe. And as you know, in Europe, we're lagging on the recovery because of the effects of South Europe, Spain, France, Portugal, Greece, and so on and so forth. So we didn't do the cycle. You know, it was levers that the board and the management had to deliver. And I added to the slide, a friend of mine has worked with me for many years. his name is Wei Chen, he wrote for me in Chinese the word Wei Ji. It means crisis, but it's a combination of two words. Crisis in Chinese is a combination of two words, danger and opportunity, Wei Ji. That's, so in a crisis, you know, all-weather investors, we learn about the cycle, we have to work with the cycle. And so the point is to take, this is a simple way to put it, rather than crisis as, you know, as an opportunity and risk. Look at it this way, the risk manager, this is a real picture where there is a sign to go skiing and the hospital on the other side. So on the skiing, we say is the return manager, and on the other side to the hospital is the risk management. All of them really are saying the same thing. So how to apply these learnings and principles? We do 5 things, I would say, and these are my own, really my own 5 things, to help set the goals for the company, which we start doing in the acquisition phase. To have a very clear strategy for the company. You know, what is it? What's the potential? And how do we want to achieve it? How? A business plan with milestones that are very clear, that are reviewed on a regular basis to make sure we're going in the right direction to achieve the goals. There is a review process, could be a monthly, could be quarterly, whatever the case may be, and the people, to have at least as a board, to have the CEO that we want in place and the CFO. And then became an iteration that if we are not achieving, it's either the people, the goals, the strategy, the business plan, something is not going right, and it has to go right. Because when we buy a company, the exit is set. The exit criteria is set, and we have to go full in that direction. And this is really what I do for a living today, is to work with the management of the portfolio companies on these. Couple of things about my Creighton experience. How did Creighton prepare me in this direction? And I would like to mention, if you recall, I said these impressions that I had when I, even from the plane landing to, remember it was Neil Diamond, they turned the, I mean, it's all vivid in my head. And one of my first courses here was The Philosophy of Man by Father Vasky. And he went through the room showing pictures of the galaxies and talking about the time it took to form the universe. And really what he wanted to start the course is called Philosophy of Man, to start to get us to think about our place in the universe, how minute, how insignificant really we are. And at the end, to don't allow our egos and our view of ourselves as important people to really stand in the way of being very good human beings. I have probably told this story 100 times. I'm a storyteller. It teaches a sense of purpose. It teaches humility. It teaches a person to reflect honestly about who they are and what they are doing, what effect are they causing around them, and really seeing the big picture, not to get tied up in. Other thing I think from my Creighton education is that we had core courses that educated us, didn't just make professionals out of us in technical terms, but we had to take humanities courses. We had to take history. We had to take theology. We had to take philosophy. We had to take languages. Also at Creighton, there was a sense of community that I felt versus other universities that really stayed with me throughout the last 40 years. And in some way, it made me, it prepared me to become a true international person that can operate through the friendships that I have developed here during my 4 years. And my last is, my current relationship with the university is, after I was absorbed in and I took my family on a journey, on a roller coaster of movements and travel, and I kind of stopped working full-time in 2008, and I work now only part-time. I rediscovered Creighton after 35 years away, and I seeked to come back and meet some of the alumni, and through Robert's Scriblack, I started to learn more about the school. Then Father Lennon became president. He was not my classmate, but we overlapped when I went to school here. Found out about the annual alumni meetings in my area where I live, in Florida. Now I'm in regular touch with the university, and look to find a way to pay back and share with, since I have resources and time to help the university. And on the personal level, I work between myself and my children. We have a couple of causes that we support. One is through my wife, who's an artist and really a very successful painter, commercially becoming successful. 100% of her work goes to charities. So we work on identifying charities that are close to her heart and support them. And another project is with my daughter, and she is a peace activist, and that has served in South Africa, Ghana, Mali, in Africa, and in the west bank of the Jordan River in modern, in the conflict area between Israel-Palestine. We support a theater because my daughter is a director, creative writer for the theater in New York City. We support a theater that promotes nonviolence, coexistence between Palestinian, Arabs, Muslim, Christian, and their Jewish neighbors. And we also work with Jewish organizations inside the state of Israel to promote tolerance in the Israeli schools of the minority non-Jewish students. There's some difficulty in that area, and there are outstanding Israeli citizens that do not accept that in a modern state like Israel to allow this. And I work with my good either Israeli friends or neighbors, my American Jewish friends, to make an impact in that area in one form or another. I have taken the full 45 minutes, but Nermina, I don't know if you want to allow any questions. I will be glad to do that, but I'm in a question and answer session later on at 10:30 or so. I can also take questions at that point. Thank you very much for your patience.